The chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Schiff, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, on April 24th, the 100th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, runners and cyclists set out from Los Angeles on a race for recognition. I had the great pleasure of riding the first 28 miles of their journey with them, and on May 7th, they completed their 3,000-mile ride across the United States. They undertook their ride to raise awareness of the Armenian Genocide and genocides all around the world, and to commemorate and remember the victims. It is my honor to read a portion of the petition that they carried with them across the nation and to enter the entirety into the Congressional Record. It provides, on this 100th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, LA2DC organizing committee members wish to recognize and honor the contributions of the following people and organizations: the American people, for setting the standard in the world for philanthropy, social activism, human rights, and prevention of crimes against humanity. In their first nationwide relief campaign from 1915 to 1930, Americans donated the equivalent of $2.7 billion to help save over 1 million Christian Armenians, Greeks, Assyrians, and other minorities during the first mass atrocity of the 20th century, when these minorities were targeted for extermination and deportation by the Ottoman Empire. Ambassador Henry Morgenthau, who, as the United States ambassador to the Ottoman Empire, alerted the United States government and the rest of the world to the destruction of the Armenian race. The Near East Foundation, for providing relief to 1 million refugees and 132,000 orphan survivors of the atrocities perpetrated by the Ottoman Empire. The American Red Cross, for providing relief to survivors of genocides and mass atrocities for the past 100 years, starting with its first international assistance program in 1915 that provided relief to survivors of the Armenian Genocide. The Museum of Tolerance, for educating and enlightening more than 250,000 visitors per year since 1993, and challenging them to understand the Holocaust and genocides in both historic and contemporary contexts. Raphael Lemkin, for inventing the term genocide to describe atrocities that target groups for annihilation, and for working tirelessly to gain approval of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide by the United Nations in 1948. USC's Shoah Foundation and its founder, Mr. Steven Spielberg, for collecting nearly 52,000 eyewitness testimonies of the Holocaust, the Armenian Genocide, and other genocide survivors. Facing History and Ourselves, for educating over 10,000 teachers and through them hundreds of thousands of students on prejudice and racism and the role they play in the events that lead to genocide. The International Committee of the Red Cross and the United Nations Children's Fund, for starting a vast relief operation in 1979 for the people of Cambodia, threatened by famine and disease in the aftermath of the Cambodian genocide, which claimed millions of lives. United States Army Europe and United States Air Force Europe, for delivering humanitarian aid in 1995 and 1996 to the survivors of the Bosnian Genocide, during which an estimated 100,000 Bosniaks were systematically targeted and killed. Senator William Proxmire, for delivering a speech every day the U.S. Senate was in session in support of the ratification of the UN Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. After 20 years and 3,211 speeches, the U.S. Senate ratified the convention on February 11, 1986. President Ronald Reagan, for signing the Genocide Convention Implementation Act of 1987 into law. The International Rescue Committee, for providing relief to Rwandan genocide survivors when an estimated 800,000 mostly Tutsi minorities were massacred. Not on Our Watch, and George Clooney for using his public profile to raise awareness of the genocide in Darfur, where 300,000 civilians were targeted and murdered and 2 million displaced. UN Ambassador Samantha Power for her groundbreaking book, published in 2003, A Problem from Hell, which recounts the history of genocide and offers a framework for policymakers that can help detect and prevent genocides. The Armenian National Committee of America for advocating for a recognition of the Armenian Genocide and raising awareness of genocides as crimes against humanity. Mr. Speaker, these riders carried this important message of truth, and gratitude with them across our great nation. It's an honor to do my small part to make sure they are heard. Back.